Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Good morning. I am Dr. Deepa, Assistant Professor, Sathyabama College of Physiotherapy, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, deemed to be University. Today my lecture video is about Principles of Aerobic Exercise Part 1. Now let us see the lecture objective for today's video. By the end of this lecture, we shall learn the various key concepts of aerobic exercise, the physiological responses of aerobic exercise, the basic classification of physical activities. Now let us go into the key concepts. Fitness. Fitness is a term used to describe the ability to perform physical work. Next, maximum oxygen consumption. It is the maximum amount of oxygen a person consumes at the maximum effort when he reaches. It is usually expressed to body weight as millimeter of oxygen per kilogram of body weight per minute. Endurance. Endurance is the ability to work for a prolonged period of time and the ability to resist fatigue. The key terms and concepts of aerobic exercise training or conditioning is an augmentation of energy utilization of the muscles by means of exercise program. Adaptation. The cardiovascular system and the muscles used to adapt to the training stimulus over a period of time. An immediate effect starts by 10 to 12 weeks. Myocardial oxygen consumption, VO2 max, is a measure of oxygen consumed by the myocardial muscle. Deconditioning. It usually occurs due to prolonged bed rest or a person when he stops exercises, due to which there is decrease in maximum oxygen consumption, cardiac output, and muscular strength occurs rapidly. Energy system. There are three energy systems that are utilized during aerobic exercises. They are phosphagen, anaerobic glycolytic system, and aerobic system. Energy expenditure is expended by individuals who are engaging in physical activity. It is often expressed in kilocalories, so efficiency is usually expressed in percentage. The amount of work output by work input, which is multiplied by 100. Now the physiological responses to aerobic exercises. There are three responses. The first one is the cardiovascular responses, respiratory responses, and the responses providing the oxygen to the muscles. Now let us see each responses. The first one is the cardiovascular responses. The cardiovascular responses have three inside it, that is exercise pressure response, cardiac effects, and peripheral effects. The first one, the exercise pressure response, which is generalized peripheral vasoconstrictions in non-exercising muscles as well as increased myocardial contractility with an increased heart rate. And there is also an increased systolic blood pressure. When we see cardiac effects, the sinoatrial node goes for a depolarization and also the heart rate increases. There is a decrease in the vagal stimuli, increase in the sympathetic nervous stimulation, and increases in the myocardial contractility. When we see the peripheral effects, there is a net reduction in the total peripheral resistance, there is generalized vasoconstriction, and the veins, they are working on the non-working muscles, they remain constricted, and there is an increase in cardiac output. Now let us see what are the respiratory responses due to exercises. So there is gas exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide which increases between the alveolar capillary membrane by the first or the second breath. Increased in muscle metabolism during exercises will result in more oxygen extracted from the arterial blood, resulting in the increase in the venous partial pressure of carbon dioxide. There is an increase in body temperature also. Along with that, there is an increase in epinephrine. Further, there are stimulation of receptors of the joints and the muscles. The baroreceptors reflexes, protective reflexes, pain, emotion, and voluntary control of respiration may also contribute to increase in the respiration. Further, minute ventilation increases as respiratory frequency and tidal volume also increases. The alveolar ventilation occurring with the diffusion of gases across the capillary alveolar membrane increases by 10 to 20 fold during a heavy exercise protocol. Response is providing additional oxygen to the muscle. What happens? There is increases blood flow to the working group of muscles. There is decrease of local tissue partial pressure of oxygen, and more oxygen is utilized by the working muscle, there is unloading of the oxygen from the hemoglobin, due to which there is more production of carbon dioxide and the tissue becomes acidic and the temperature of the tissue also rises. Further, as the mounting of oxygen occurs, there is increase of RBC cells, that is 2,3-diphosphoglycerate, produced by the glycolysis during exercises, contributes to enhanced increase of oxygen. Lastly, we will see the classification of activities. This is the slightest classification. A light work comprises of energy expenditure of 2.0 to 4.9 kilocalorie per minute. When we see the VO2 max, it is 6.1 to 15.2 ml O2 by kg per minute. METs, which is equivalent to 1.6 to 3.9, which is equivalent to your light strolling around a neighborhood. That is 1.6 kilometer per hour. If you do a heavy workout or a heavy work physical activity, the energy expenditure is 7.5 to 9.9 kilocalorie per minute. The VO2 max is 23.0 to 30.6 ml O2 per kg per minute. The METs which are expended are 6.0 to 7.9, which is equivalent to a 8 kilometer jogging. Thank you.